Diane Kazer here, founder of DianeKazer.com and pro soccer player turned functional diagnostic nutritionist. Really, it's been through my own health struggles and ensuing healing that I found my passion. And this is it. To help conscious, successful women like you detox divine draining toxins out of their lives so that you can reverse disease and supercharge your potential and look and feel stunning so that you can focus on your dreams and follow your heart with reckless abandon. You know, I have women come to me from all over the world who are in major need of a makeover and totally confused. They're wondering why they're not where they want to be. Like, how did this happen? You know, like, I just woke up one day and I felt like crap and I looked how I felt. Girlfriend, you are not alone. You are so not alone. So ironically, I've worked with women all over the world who came to me with the same complaints that I had my whole life, that no doctor was able to help me identify the cause of. Where was all this coming from? Sure, they had a prescription and pills and procedures to numb the symptoms, but appointment after doctor, after hospital parking wars, after long wait times, led me down the same dead-end road of zero answers and a long list of band-aids. You know, if you're like me, and if you're a female, I'm 95% sure you are, you're tired of feeling too tired to do the things that you want to in a day. Like look worn down, have zero sex drive, yet you feel like you're doing everything right. And you're just over it, like yesterday, and want to not just feel normal again, but feel amazing. So today we're gonna talk about how to free your fat, free disease, free fatigue for good. Seriously, no more band-aids. We're talking long-term solutions. There are 3 myths I want to bust in this series that you've probably employed in your dream body journey. The number 1 and most common myth is my lab tests were normal and my doctor said there was nothing wrong with me. So this must just be how I'm supposed to feel. Number 2 is I'm getting old. You're just getting old and it's part of aging. There couldn't be anything farther from the truth. Number 3 is you should just eat less and exercise more. Guys, weight isn't only about diet and exercise. Everyone's different, and none of that will help anything if your body is in dysfunction mode somewhere. So the truth about all of this that you need to know is this: a healthy body will not have a hard time with fat loss or figure building or fatigue, regardless of your age. Then we're going to explore 2 key areas where your body is likely letting you down when it comes to living the hot superwoman lifestyle that you seek: thyroid and adrenals. And I can almost guarantee it's something that you're going to wish you knew years ago, like me, so you didn't waste so much time, like I did, and energy on things that didn't work, like me. So here's my story. The first thing you need to know about me is I wasn't always this healthy. And at one point I thought I was, when I didn't have many super nagging symptoms. But I was also nowhere near where I wanted to be with my energy levels, or my sex drive, or my physique, or my mood, or my performance at work. So let's just say I wasn't surviving, but I also wasn't thriving. I was that girl who answered, "I'm all right," when someone asked me how I was doing. And inside that was the truth. But my dream was to answer, "I'm amazing," like, and really mean it. Does that sound familiar? So I was in the fitness world, and as a fitness model and bodybuilding competitor and extreme athlete, as a pro soccer player also. And while I looked healthy and strong and lean, I was the farthest from healthy I'd ever felt, unknowingly, on the inside. Once you bring your body to an optimal state, it's not that hard to maintain. But sadly, most women today, like you, are doing a lot of way more things than they need to look hot and feel amazing. Like I used to do it too. I'd work 2 hours plus in the gym, I'd weigh my food, spend $500 per month on supplements, and I still didn't have my dream body. But then I figured it out. It took me 3 years, maybe more. But now I have the formula, and I'm super stoked to share it with you guys in this video. There are so many things I wish I knew back then when I first started this journey. I wish I knew that the root cause of urinary tract infections was an imbalance of bacteria. I wish I knew that yeast infections were caused by an acid-alkaline, imbalance in our beautiful lady parts, and that I was taking way too many antibiotics that were killing the things that would have protected me from yeast to begin with. And diet too. The whole eat a ton of whole grains, and maybe that wasn't working for me, and eat low fat. I wish I knew that there is a unique diet that works for each person, and it's not about fad diets. It's about what works for you. I also wish I knew that detoxification is not just a one-time thing, that cleansing isn't just a one-time thing, that it is something that we need to be on top of every day in order to live in the body of our dreams. And I also wish I knew what I'm about to teach you in this next video, which is that our hormones have everything to do with it. And that it's, our hormones are kind of stupid. In other words, we walk our dog. We're the one in control, right? Or you should be. Hopefully your dog's not walking you. But our hormones are dumb. It's what's happening in our digestive tract and the information that we're giving our digestive tract. In other words, every bite that we take, everything we put into our mouth, it dictates how our hormones respond. So our gut, if it's inflamed because we're eating crappy foods or foods that aren't good for us, communicates to our brain that tells our adrenals and our thyroid what to release in terms of hormones. So if you have a doctor that's giving you hormones like birth control or exogenous bioidentical hormones, and they're not asking the question of why are your hormones imbalanced? Why is your thyroid markers not optimal? Why are you so tired? Then you need to not work with that doctor anymore. You need to ask questions why and get to the root of why you have all these symptoms and why your hormones maybe are imbalanced. So that's what we're gonna get into in the next video. If I would have known what I know now, all that I do about our beautiful endocrine system, which is our hormones, our adrenals and our thyroid, I would not have spent 7 years trying to figure this stuff out. We're gonna get into the top 3 roadblocks that you must know now that are getting in the way of you achieving your dream body. My labs were normal as the first one. I'm getting old as the second one. And then the third one is that you eat less and exercise more, and what you're doing is still not working. And you've probably tried this iteration hundreds maybe of different times with different diets and different exercises and different trainers and different nutritionists and different doctors and different experts, and you're still at this dead end zone and you're going, I'm over it, right? So you're no longer over it. You are ready for the new you. So first, I want you to get that negative mindset that you're never going to achieve your dream body. Kick it out. Just kick it out. Whoever that is, maybe it's a mom, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's TV, maybe it's a voice that you heard from someone that you saw in passing one time at the gym, that you're never going to get there. Step 1 is you are going to get there. Believe in yourself. That's step 1. Okay, but step 2 is getting through these roadblocks. Maybe they're mindset roadblocks. And this one kind of is. My labs were normal. So as you learned from video 1, when I was talking about my story, when I was 17, I knew, I was firm on my thyroid's messed up. There's something wrong. I did a ton of research on the internet, and you guys all know, if you Google something, it spits out the answer, and that's the truth. That's the farthest thing from the truth. That's actually the most frustrating thing ever, is that you're gonna hear one thing on the internet, then you're gonna hear something totally contradicting it on the other side. And there's 2 schools of thought on that, and that is that you're talking about, and you hear one side that's functional medicine, and that's the area in which I work. I'm trying to heal the body so it loses its dysfunction. We're back to homeostasis, we're back to happy, because we're using the whys. We're getting to the root causes of why you're suffering or why things are broken. And we're fixing them once and for all from the root up. So think about like an iceberg. We're not just looking at what we see, which is the symptoms. We're looking at the root causes of why it starts to begin with and why the symptoms surface. Then the other side of this is like, hey, we're going to work in the symptom region. We're going to work on just fixing what we see. And that's more like the going to the hospital and getting a recommendation or a prescription from a doctor. So that's number 1 reason why. And then the number 2 reason why what you see on the internet or what you hear from friends might be true for one person, but it's not true for the other, is because our bodies are all so uniquely different. And it's not just our bodies that are different, it's our environment that's different. It's the food that we're eating that's different. It's the stimulus, it's the stressors. And we're gonna talk about the two. Everybody has different input and our bodies are all going to react differently. So that's the number 2 reason. But getting back to my labs were normal. Okay, so when you go to a doctor and they test for things like your thyroid, just like what happened with me when I was 17. I went in and I said my thyroid's off. I read online all different kinds of things. That the things I was suffering from, I had belly bloat. I didn't have hair loss, but I did have some black rogue hairs on my chin and on my belly button. I had a little bit of brain fog, which for a 17-year-old is not cool. You guys heard from video 1, I had cystic acne, and I have so many women who come to me with acne problems and they're getting nasty drugs that destroy their body from the inside, sometimes permanently. I don't want this to be you. And if it's already you, no worries, we'll bring you back to life. I was depressed. As a 17-year-old, I was depressed, I was super tired. Infertility, that wasn't something that came up for me at that time. I wasn't trying to get pregnant at 17. But a lot of women who come to me, they have infertility issues. We fix their thyroid, we fix their hormones, and boom, they're pregnant. Lowered immunity. I was sick like all the time. I was sick every quarter, and I just thought it was like, hey, you know, you just catch a cold. It's going around. I just caught a cold. But nope. It's not normal to have any symptom ever. Symptoms are a sign. They're a call out. Your body's talking to you. Are you listening? So at this point, I was listening. I was like, but it was years had gone by and I was not feeling well. And I'm like, why don't I feel amazing? And I was so constipated. Oh, this is so sad. This is so sad now. So many women come to me and they're constipated. And some people don't even understand what constipation means. Constipation is, if you look at the traditional model, you know, current medicine, current doctors will say that constipation is not going to the bathroom except for but every other day. In other words, they're not concerned. If you're going to the bathroom every other day, you're cool. No, because there's optimal. We work in optimal land. We're not working in average, normal land. We want you to feel amazing. I mean, do you want to feel normal or amazing? I mean, you get the choice, right? If you want to feel normal, hey, don't worry about watching the rest of this video series. But if you want to feel amazing, keep listening. So to have regular bowel movements, which means that you're going to lose weight and lose fat and get rid of toxins in your body that might make you feel fatigued and frustrated, you want to be going to the bathroom like once or twice a day. I wasn't. I had all these thyroid problems. At least for me, when I did the research, everything pointed at my thyroid. And then I went to the doctor. My labs were normal. Over and over and over again, they were normal. And then what I later learned is that the reason I had a thyroid problem to begin with was because I had antibodies. My immune system was really upset. It was reacting, my body was attacking my own thyroid. In other words, my body was destroying my tissue, which is the root of every autoimmune disease. And in my opinion, I do believe that more and more and more of us, almost like 50% in the next 20 years or so, will have an autoimmune disease. How can we not, with the amount of chemicals that are in our environment? 85,000 plus man-made chemicals. Our genetics, our genes, our immune system was never designed to digest, assimilate, excrete, absorb any of that stuff. So when we ingest these fake chemicals and fake foods, pseudo foods, our body's like, whoa, I don't even know what to do with this. And it accidentally starts attacking ourself and it breeds an autoimmune disease, which is another reason why we are so fat, fatigued, and frustrated. So lo and behold, I did these lab tests, and this is the same thing that's happening to you, is maybe your thyroid is getting checked. And by the way, our thyroid is our metabolic engine. Our thyroid makes hormones, T3 and T4, that make the engine that burns our fat. And as long as that is not optimally functioning, we are fat, frustrated, and fatigued. Because if you're tired and if you're over fat, there's something going on with your thyroid. Or there's something going on with your adrenals, the manufacturing plant of all of your sex hormones, your sex, sleep, and stress hormones. And I'll get to that. So I left the hospital. Your thyroid's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not. My hands and feet are freezing. There's all these symptoms, right? Once I later found out as a nutritionist that TSH is the master hormone in the thyroid that makes these other hormones, that is T3 and T4. My TSH was way out of range. There is this, and this is for any lab test, you guys. If you look at your TSH lab test right now, the range, it'll say 0.5 to 5, let's just say. And anywhere in there, your doctor's not going to say anything. They're going to say you're fine. They're going to send you away. But optimal is between 1 and 2. Does that make sense? Are you with me here? There's optimal ranges and there's average normal ranges. Do you know where these ranges are pulled from, where they create them? Do you know they don't just fall out of thin air? God didn't give them to us, certainly, but they come from the average of the average people who go to the hospital. Who is the average person that goes to the hospital? Not healthy people, right? You're going to the hospital for a reason. You're going to the hospital, typically older people, yes. And sick people, yes. So if you want to fit in this wide, huge range of sick people and old people and be sent on your way, then sure. But if you want to feel amazing and look optimal and gorgeous and have all of the characteristics that you desire, you're going to want optimal ranges, right? Are you with me? Yeah, okay. So your lab test can be normal all day long, but if they're not optimal, then that's why you're not feeling amazing. That's why you still feel fat, fatigued, and frustrated and still have normal labs. So we work in optimal range. If you want to go check out your TSH levels now on your lab test, if you have them, cool. If it's not between 1 and 2, then you're not optimal. The other thing about that is that your thyroid can be functioning decently, but if you have a congested liver, it's not converting, because thyroid hormones are made in the thyroid, but then they go down to the liver to be converted so they can be utilized. If your liver is all jacked up and congested, which is pretty much anyone who has a symptom, that means that you have a liver problem. And so if you have a symptom, you have a liver problem. And if you have a liver problem, you may not have a thyroid problem, but you have a liver problem. Does that make sense? So we'll talk a little bit more about that next. But that's key, guys. And also, you also can have out of range thyroid problems and never have been asked by your doctor why. And 95% or so, according to the work of my friend Dr. Isabella Wentz, the thyroid problems are caused by antibodies. The autoimmune disease is what causes the thyroid numbers to be out of whack. So doctors aren't checking the source, the reason why. They're only going to look for things in labs that have a prescription or a procedure or a plan, a prescription or a procedure or a surgery of some kind that will fix that. Otherwise, they're not going to be looking at signs of, because they're not going to write a prescription for kale. They're not going to make money on that. And the doctors aren't the problem. It's the system that's training the doctors is the problem. So these labs were normal. They might be normal, but they're not optimal. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, you're just getting old. You're just getting old. No, I refuse to accept that for you guys. And I hope that you refuse to accept that yourself. Here's a statistic. By the time you're into your 40s and your 50s, your digestion is about half of capacity as it was when you were in your early teens. So meaning that you're not digesting foods like you used to. So things might sit more. You might feel like your digestion's not working as well. If your digestion's not working as well, then that's why you feel older, because as things slow down in your digestion, things will slow down everywhere else, like with your energy and your brain and your fat burning. And you just don't feel the same way. Your muscle tissue turnover, you're not building muscles as much as you were. Your joints might be breaking down. And so I'm getting old is true. As we get older, our systems start to lose their function. So, we got to give it a little bit of extra stuff. And this is why I love supplementation when necessary, and drinking things like apple cider vinegar and things I'll be talking about in video 3 that will help to bridge that gap of getting older. There's something also that's called the wellness scale. And I use this in my practice. And the thing that you might be getting old, yes, but I right now at 37 feel better than I did at 21. So that's just got to show you that we can always preserve our youth. And this is the anti-aging I love to talk about. But I think that more so, instead of you getting old, it's these symptoms that are getting old. And what we do is we wait and we wait and we wait to do something about these symptoms until it turns into a major catastrophe. In other words, we want to feel 100%. We want to feel perfect. But the word perfect is also something that is going to defeat you. If you want to strive for perfection, stop. Just stop. Don't even try. Because perfection is you're never going to attain that. It's something that I started with wanting, and it actually can cause more of a stressor and drain our adrenals even more. So most women come to me when they're at when I ask them, from a scale of 0 to 100%, where are you right now? How do you feel? They're like, I'm at like 30, 40%. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, that's getting old. Your body is actually deteriorating because you're not paying attention. So I'd rather people come to me when they're just starting to feel like, you know what, something's going on here and I don't want it to get worse. Because if it gets worse, it could take me like a year, 2 years to revive that person. It could take you that long to feel better, and by that point, you're over it. You want a quick fix, you're trying something new in 2 months and you expect a quick return on your investment, and it's not working. And a lot of people do come to me thinking that, you know, I should just eat less and exercise more. And that's the answer. So we're gonna get into that next. But what I do wanna say last about this whole I'm getting old thing is, if you guys let things go on for that long, cancer takes 20 years to build in the body. If you have a condition, you have been not listening to it for too long. So I highly urge you that if you're watching this right now, and if you feel not even 60% of yourself, do something about it. Number 3, I eat less, exercise more. I hear this all the time. So many women are like, I've been cutting down my calories. I'm eating 1,200 calories a day. I'm exercising 2 hours a day. I'm taking all these supplements. That was me at one point too. I get it. But that's the worst thing that you can do, especially if your hormones are crashed, which is every single female that has ever come to me. By the time you guys are coming to me, you're at like 30, 40%. And your body's been telling you for a long time with these symptoms that something's not going right. Okay? So we want your body to not be, you know, the danger zone is I don't have symptoms. At least in your mind, I don't have symptoms, but these are symptoms, right? So you want to feel amazing. You want to have nothing to complain about because you feel awesome all the time, right? And your body is showing you that. You're sleeping well, you're sexing well, and everything you're doing is amazing. If you're there, you're probably not watching this. But if you're any of these characteristics and these statistics, then you have belly bloat, hair loss. I talked about this already with thyroid. You have belly fat, flat butt, muscle loss, food cravings, fatigue, insomnia, irritability, and zero sex drive. Any of those, one or a couple or all of those things, is a cry for help. The body is asking you for help. Eating less and exercising more is one of the worst things that you can do for your adrenals. You're gonna make yourself fatter, you're gonna make yourself more fatigued and more frustrated. And one last thing I wanted to talk about in this video, and then we're gonna get to action in video 3. What can I do to make changes and improvements for all this so I can get 1 step closer, 2 steps closer, 3 steps closer to my dream body? Now, you may have heard of your adrenals. They are glands that are little tiny glands that sit on the top of our kidneys. And the adrenal's job is to make sex, stress, and sleep hormones. Sex, stress, sleep hormones. And our sex hormones like estrogen and testosterone, our stress hormones like cortisol. Cortisol, yes, has been said is the belly fat storing hormone, but it also puts out inflammation in the body. So nothing in our body is designed that is bad for us. It's just that science says it's bad. It's when it's in excess or not enough when it's bad. So we want to bring it to balance. Then you've got sleep hormones like melatonin. If you're not sleeping right, if you're waking up throughout the night, if you're not able to fall asleep or wake up and you feel rested, you've got a sleep problem. And the things that can bring on adrenal fatigue and adrenal stress, you know, genetics, we always like to point to, oh, it's my genes, I have bad genes. It's only 2 or 3% of the equation, guys. That's it. Diet, supplements, stress. I'm talking about like emotional stress. I'm talking about not eating enough stress, all different kinds of stress. Environmental stress, infections can be stress, and that would be parasites, candida, bacteria. All those things are stressors in the body. There's a natural way to treat those. Those are also signs and symptoms that your body's saying, help me. Now, if those are there and you're taking prescriptions for it, you are not listening to your body. Negative thinking. We talked about that already. Any negative thinking, stress, worry, fear, those things are hitting our adrenals hard. And poor sleep. So negative thinking can actually cause our body to internally attack ourselves. This is one crazy statistic, and I'm going to move on to the next video after this. It's a cliffhanger. Our adrenals, check this out. Any kind of stress in the body. Over time, our adrenals get more and more tired, and they can't release enough of cortisol to help us to put fires out internally, or to help us say, run from a tiger, or to help us have energy. So eventually our adrenals are like, you know what, I am so tired. So what they say, when there's stress, it says, store belly fat, store belly fat, store belly fat, because it thinks that we are not going to get fed tomorrow. It thinks that maybe a tiger is chasing after us, and if we have enough fat here, that tiger with claws won't get into our organs and kill us. So it literally will build fat, so the claws can only penetrate so deep. It's primal. It's an instinct. Our body is this way for a reason. And so what happens is it says store fat. And if our body can't use fat for fuel, guess where it's going to steal it? It's going to steal it from our muscle tissue. It's going to steal it from our glutes. And you might have a flat back. So not only you have insult to injury, right? You get this belly, and you also have maybe a flat butt, and maybe you start storing it around your thighs too. And you're going, how? But I'm eating less and exercising more. Well, if you're eating less and exercising more, your body is not going to build muscle. It's going to, if it's in stress mode and stress mode and stress mode all the time, which we have to get rid of. We got to get rid of these stressors. Your body says store belly fat, steal tissue from the muscles, like your belly, or I'm sorry, like your booty, and it will also take it from your other muscles that you're hoping to build. So when you have more muscle, you're able to burn more fat throughout the day, because 5 pounds of muscle eats and needs 250 calories to sustain itself. So that's being robbed from you. And then it's also using connective tissue like your ligaments and other tissues that hold your joints together, like tendons, and collagen like skin tissue and hair tissue. So then your body maybe you start losing your hair, and maybe your face is sagging, and you're losing collagen and elastin and connective tissue, and you start having pain and feeling worse, and then you start having injuries, and then you're not at the gym and you're not burning any calories because now you're injured. So this is the downward spiral that happens when we have any kind of stressor that we're not handling and we're not listening to our body. So in this next video, because this all happened to me, ladies, but lo and behold, have faith, because I have reversed my autoimmune disease. I reversed all of my diseases. I've gotten rid of my infections that were the root causes of my diseases, and I have helped all kinds of women all around the world do the same. It is all possible as long as you have the desire to. So why am I so fat, fatigued, and frustrated? One of the #1 reasons that we are not happy today is because of our health. So we want to be healthier. We want to be hotter. We want to be happier. All of these things all equate to wellness. And so, as we talked about already, if our hormones are shot, if we're tired, we're depressed just by nature. Tired equals depression. So a lot of times, and also we talked about not getting enough sleep. That also equals depression. So anything that slows down the body, be it hormones, metabolism, adrenals, endocrine system, our poop schedules, those things all slow down. That means that our mood slows down, so we're not as happy. If you guys took the happy code, there are 7 key areas to wellness in there, so maybe this is one of them. You know, maybe your hormones, maybe your health. But a big part of this, and today in this 3rd part video, this 3rd part is about solutions. How to go from shot to hot, and we're talking like today. Like, let's do this, let's take action. So the board behind me, I made a shift on it. I've got solutions for you guys. And even if you just did one of them, awesome, great, you're doing something. You're doing more than like 90% of the population. Don't just watch this video and do nothing. I'm a do something girl. So one day is not someday, and today is on the calendar, but someday and one day is not. Today is. So the first one I stole from my buddy Sean Croxton of Underground Wellness. He's awesome. He actually is a part of the reason I am a functional diagnostic nutritionist now. I got certified through that. A lot of people ask me, how did you learn all this stuff that you learned about this? It's in part experience, of course, but I also have several certifications, and one of them is life. Right? Life experience is the best education. So you guys don't need to go enroll to be a doctor to do this. You don't need to go learn to be a dietitian. You becoming your own best doctor is the best education you'll ever have. And maybe this video series is more than you've ever learned in several of your years over the decades of visiting various doctors. So let's just cut to it. This is not the prescription pad you're ever going to get from a doctor. So let's just get to your top tips on first, just getting a little bit more energy. And it's not in a pot of coffee either, because that is actually draining your hormones, and that's for a separate video. #1, JERF, just eat real food. And what do I mean by that? The #1 best thing, I don't know if you can see this or not, but no label. Foods that don't have a label are real foods. They came from the soil. They once upon a time were flying. They once upon a time were swimming. They once upon a time lived on a tree or a branch, or they came from the sea. So these are whole foods, things that didn't get fractionated and cut down and pieced out and packaged and added to and restructured and rewired and heated up and trans fatted. I'm talking real foods like good fats, like salmons and things. Just start there. Just start eating real food. A lot of people say, hey, all I did was start eating real food instead of processed food, and I started feeling amazing. Most likely, by the time you're watching this video, this is not you. Most of you are probably eating real food. Most of you have probably eaten real food in several different cleanses that you've done, and maybe you felt better, but then you weren't feeling amazing. So, that's why you contact me. Or maybe you try something from the adaptogens. Maybe you've not tried these ones. Hey. Good fat. Because your hormones, remember, your hormones are made of fat. So if you're not eating fat, and yes, cholesterol, hormones are made of cholesterol. So this is another one of these myths debunked, if I could talk, right? Because if you have brain power comes from hormones made from fat. So then veggies and fruits. These are all things that create fiber, eating 25 grams of fiber. These are all things that I talk about in my programs, and these are all things that I would love to talk with you more about if you're confused or overwhelmed. But just eat real food, please, Getting away from labels. Awesome. Things to stay away from, maybe gluten. Maybe gluten does nothing for you, but it certainly isn't. Just like a negative emotion, we don't realize that negative emotions, negative thinking, stressful thinking, worrying, gluten, they all create these chemicals in our gut that just degrades our tissue and just breaks down our tissues, not just in our gut, but like our connective tissues or our muscles. Again, we don't want to use our muscles for energy or our tissues for energy. We want to use fat for energy. So eating real foods will do that. Getting rid of the GMOs, because those are things that aren't even real foods. Dairy, that also could be very, very aggravating. You maybe get mucousy. Trans fat, you guys may not even see that on the label, but trans fats are things like canola and soybean oil, cottonseed oil, a lot of things that are normal foods, processed foods that are cooked in. Eating out, when you eat out at restaurants, that's typically what they're using for their oils, is a lot of rancid fats. So maybe ask for olive oil instead, or coconut oil to cook in. Sugar. Stop eating so much sugar. You guys know that. But if you're at this point now where you're like, I just can't stop eating sugar, my food cravings are out of control, and you're over it, I'm here to help you guys. A lot of people get to that point. They're like, I have too many of these things. I just want to talk to someone. I want to get straight to it. And the next one, number 2, adaptogens. Yes, adaptogens. Adaptogens are foods and herbs that help us to adapt to the external or internal stimulus that's happening. So adaptogens help make all of these hormones, right? So adaptogens help us, they assist us. They're like kind of food supplements, right? Ashwagandha, you guys may have heard of that. It's one of the most ancient adaptogens coming from India. So you hear all this like ancient wisdom coming out, right? And these are the things that healed me. But sometimes you might notice that you eat something and maybe it doesn't agree with you. And maybe it's not your thing. But if you need help navigating that, I'm here for you. Maca. I always say maca equals mojo. If you want your sex drive back, maca is a really powerful, it's just a superfood. You could add that to your shakes and it adds some flavor to it as well. Reishi mushrooms are hugely adaptogenic. Licorice root, that's my pre-workout. I take some licorice root, put it under my tongue, woo! Instead of taking a lot of these toxic pre-workout drinks that just bump you and make you feel crazy and then crash you, or maybe you're not even sleeping. Don't take them before your 3 p.m. workout and then you don't sleep. And then, matcha. I forgot to mention matcha. I kind of went out of order. Matcha. People love this recipe. I've got one on my website. Matcha green tea. Use that instead of coffee in the morning. Trust me, your blood sugar is going to be stable throughout the day. You're not going to have that 2 p.m. crash. Awesome stuff. So green tea is really good for you. So adaptogens help us to adapt to external or internal stress. Best thing to do is just get rid of the stress, right? Best thing to do is change the way that we respond to stress and not worry. But until we get to that point, until we can rebuild our endocrine system, then maybe we don't know how to respond to stress well because we're so tired. So this is going to revive you better. And then the last one is love your liver. I love saying this. One day it just came out. I realized, hey, if you're not a liver, you're a dyer, right? So not like me kind of die, like I'm Diane, but if you're not a liver, you are a dyer. So and remember from video 2, if you have any symptom, It is a liver symptom. Your liver takes all the junk that we're exposed to, that we put on, in, or around our body, and it takes it and filters it and tries to get rid of it. But the problem is our livers today are so overwhelmed, they can't handle all of the toxic stress that we are involved with, or in, or around, or we put on in or around our body. And that's a part of this, is that any decision that we make is a good one or a bad one. That's at the end of our fork. That is the things we're putting on our body. That is the toxic people around us that we either say yes or no to. You don't have to say yes to everybody. Don't be a people pleaser. That's also a big source of stress. Be there for yourself first. So don't feel guilty for doing these things for yourself, guys, because you can be around more and longer for people that you love when you take care of yourself first. Please never forget that. You're number one. You're number one. Okay. So the things that you can do to love on your liver, and the better condition that your liver is in, the better condition your entire body is in, the better that your body can produce hormones in response to the stressors that you need them for. Or if you want to have a nice time with your lover in the evening, you can have better sex life, you can think better, you can all day, be around all day for everything that you need for the energy that you deserve. And so this is one that I've been drinking throughout every one of these videos today. It's, you can Google on Diane Kazer, apple cider vinegar. I have a whole awesome YouTube video series on this. All it is water, and make sure it's not bottled plastic water. It's filtered water, and you guys can see more about that if you Google my videos, or if you just want me to help you remodel all this, that's what I'm here for. But this is Berkey filtered water, and I've got some apple cider vinegar in there. And it also has some cinnamon in here. I put a little bit of stevia for flavor, but all this in here, and I've got a little bit of lemon. Your liver is gonna love you for this. So cheers to that. Dark greens, dandelion, milk thistle, chlorella, spirulina, things that are dark are gonna go in and just, as like a vacuum cleaner, takes all the stuff in your liver and just pushes it out. But we do wanna make sure that if we're asking the liver to release junk from the body, it has a way out. And if your colon's impacted and it's backed up like a freeway at 5 o'clock and, after work traffic, it's just gonna hit this dead end and go right back to where it began. So you gotta make sure that your colon is open. So whenever I help my clients, first thing I do is make sure the colon's open and you're not constipated. And by that I mean daily probiotics, guys. And just eating yogurt is not enough. Definitely eat a lot of fermented foods, but as insurance, I recommend everyone take a probiotic every day for the rest of our life, and even kids too, because probiotics means for life, and antibiotics means no life against life. So remember, we can take one round of antibiotics and just wipe our body out, and it could take us a whole year to recover from just that one round of antibiotics. So before you reach for the antibiotics, ask yourself, am I taking probiotics daily? If the answer is no, you guys got to be on them every day. This is what I recommend anyway. It's good insurance, because we're not always getting that kind of thing from our foods, because we're not always jerfing. We're not eating just real foods all the time. Sometimes we're on the go. I eat chocolate too. I eat chips too. Things in moderation, but the moderation has to be healthy foods, and then, maybe less than healthy foods, but not like the junk foods. And then cleansing. So we gotta make sure, in order to go to the bathroom 1-2 times a day, we gotta make sure things are moving. We gotta get pooping. We gotta drink enough water. The majority of women that I'm helping now are just dehydrated, and that's why they're constipated. So we gotta make sure we're drinking enough. Even if you're the type that drinks enough water, maybe you're still constipated, and that could be because your hormones are off. So anyway, our body's a beautiful maze. It is gorgeous, and so are you. But you gotta make yourself number one. I can't make you number one. You're the only person that can. And the day that I made myself number one, and the day I started giving myself more self-love, was the day that this started this journey, and it became addicting to take better care of myself. And I learned better to draw boundaries and say yes to the things that mattered, and to say yes to the people that mattered, and that propped me up as much as I wanted to prop them up back. The more that you are your authentic self, the less there's an act, the less you have to worry about being someone else and keeping track of all of your lies. But the more you show up for yourself, the more you're gonna wanna be you, and the easier it is to eat these foods. And these foods are, by the way, the path to learning who you are, to becoming what you're meant to be. So Through all of this, I hope you guys learned a whole bunch, that it's not your fault sometimes. Maybe you are even doing these things. Maybe you've done a lot of these things already, but maybe this area is what needs to be revitalized. Maybe you need an extra push. And that's what I'm here for, guys. I'm here because I wish that I had someone like myself when I was lost. And I want you to know that no longer will you be lost. Follow me. Any place that you guys know how to find me on social media, download any of these ebooks, and please, what this entire series is here to help you understand is that you have somebody who cares. You have a heart in all of this. And if you're lost, and if you want to ask questions to someone who's been there, if you want to ask questions to someone who actually knows these things, if you want to ask someone who will not judge you, by the way, I will never judge you. I am so open-minded and so open-hearted, so I'm here for you. Your thyroid, your adrenals, they love you, they want to do better for you. So if you feel like you've done everything and you're at a dead-end road, then let me know. I'm here for you. The end of this series should leave you feeling inspired, empowered, and wanting to take action. Here's a flower for you. I love you, love yourself, and please take action. And if you're ready for a total transformation, click on the schedule link below and I will talk with you for free for 30 minutes. Okay, guys. Okay, ladies. Take this, run with this, transform with this. Namaste.